Hey guys, this is JP's LEGO Reviews. Today, I'm going to take you through why LEGO Technic is slowly going downhill. Going from 2014, where it was at its high point, to 2019, where the downhill process properly began, to right now in 2024. So, let's break it down. Now, the three parts of this video that I'm going to go through are firstly, the history of LEGO Technic's downfall, why is it going downhill, and how can LEGO Technic fix it? Because it's actually quite a simple fix, and they don't actually have to change too much about the structure of LEGO Technic. So, let's break it down step by step. Firstly, we have the LEGO Technic lineup in 2014. We see here that construction sets are super common, and the construction crew set really highlights the fact that LEGO Technic also didn't really care about the looks of the sets too much. They cared about functions, and with the construction crew set, you could get a truck, a loader, and an excavator all in one set, which is actually pretty cool to see, but construction sets were super common. Also, the cars here focused on function rather than form. With the hot rod, you can see there's steering, there's pistons, and there's also other functions as well. But let's be honest, the hot rod isn't that good looking, but LEGO Technic focused on function rather than form. Also, LEGO Technic had relatively affordable sets with power. We have the Volvo wheel loader, where you'd see probably the most amount of really power functions in a set ever. This set has 4 motors, a battery box, 2 remote controls, and 2 of the, I can't remember exactly the name of them, but 2 of the bits that allow for remote control to happen. And all of this costs $250 US, which is still pretty decent considering today, with our new System Control Plus, it'll be a lot more expensive, which kind of goes into a problem later on. But there's also a lot of sets with functions that don't use power. With the container truck, it's not this sort of set would be very rare today, because you can do at least 4 to 6 different functions just with winches and just with winding it, seeing how the functions work without actually using a battery box or even remote control to do it. But what happened in 2019? Well, licenses are coming into Technic cars. With the Corvette ZR1, for example, it's sort of like a hot rod where it's still prioritized on function, but it's not the best looking set ever, but this set really focuses on looking good. And it still focuses more on function, but the licenses are added in, basically making it more expensive. And it was the last year to have proper power function sets. For $100 US, we have the remote control stunt racer. Now, it's remote control, which is awesome to see, and the reason why it's $100 US, even though it only has 300 pieces, is simply because power functions is expensive. But it's cheaper than what its replacement would be. What else? Well, also, there were a lot more large non-UCS licensed Technic cars coming into the picture, with the Land Rover Defender and the Porsche coming in. But these sets still had lots of functions in them, and I think these are some of the best LEGO Technic sets they've made, simply because it looks good, but it has the functionality as well that you want to see, and it's a decent value for money. And I've reviewed the Land Rover Defender, and it's truly an awesome set. But there's more. We were introduced to Control Plus. We have the 4x4 Extreme Off-Roader. Now, this costs $250 US. Now, back in 2012, it would maybe cost $150 US without, with power functions. But let's add in another $50 US for inflation, where this version will be $150 with Control Plus, but let's add an inflation. That becomes $200 US. Control Plus just costs the user $50 US more than before. And with the Libre, it's actually worse, because it's $450 US when it was sold, and it could have been $300 US. Now, let's push it up for sort of inflation, let's bring it up. Let's say if this didn't have power functions, and let's account for inflation, let's say maybe price it, say, at $380, but it also has the lever license. So if we take that away, it'll be $360. That's a $90 difference. And that's a big difference when it comes to if you're able to afford a set or not able to afford a set. Now, what's LEGO Technic like in 2023? There are random non-Technic related Technic sets being released, such as the Mars rover set. Now, I actually don't mind this set. It's not terrible as a LEGO set, but it's not a Technic set, because what LEGO Technic is about is functionality first, and simply, for costing quite a lot of money, this set basically has zero functions. What about Monster Jam pullbacks? Well, this is actually a genius idea, because with the Monster Jam sets, the pullbacks, you don't really care about functionality because you only expect it to be a pullback. And having the Monster Jam license makes it fun to play with, which is the intended purpose, and doesn't really add too much to the cost, so I think this was actually a good move by LEGO. But there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 licensed vehicles were released in 2023. This is just unacceptable, and the reason why is because it's far too many. They're 2 Bugatti Bolides, like there's no need for 2 of them. The Ford GT and the Peugeot did not have to be released in the same year. The Bugatti Bolide combined also with the Lamborghini and the NASCAR didn't need to be combined either. So there's way too many cars being released when that space could be used for construction vehicles instead, which is what more LEGO Technic is about. But I don't actually hate on these sets, because I've actually reviewed the Lamborghini Huracan Technica, and I've actually bought it, obviously, as well. And it's a nice set, but this is simply too much. There's more. There are now overpriced and licensed RC LEGO sets, for example, the Audi RSQ e-tron. The license just makes it even more ridiculously priced. It's not just having, Control Plus, but the licensing, that just makes it worse. And there's also rip-off Control Plus construction sets. We have the Technic Lever set. This thing costs $700. If they got rid of Control Plus and put power functions, I guarantee you it'll probably be $550. And having the lever logo, it wasn't really needed because it drives up the price even more. It was just a very unnecessary LEGO set to release, in my opinion. But there's even more. With function sets, there are less function sets coming with even functions in them, and if so, they're licensed too. With the John Deere skidder, yes, it has functions, but it has less functions than other tractor type sets, and obviously, as you can see, there is a John Deere license attached to this set as well. Now, why is LEGO Technic going downhill? This is part 2, and there are a few reasons for this. Firstly, they're disappearing the idea of function before form. Now, if you see this Class Zerion set, this set doesn't look bad. It actually looks quite good, but it's highly much more focused on what it does rather than what it looks like. It's not the nicest looking thing, but what we're now seeing is sets like the John Deere skidder, where it looks a lot better. I'll be honest with you about that. The colors pop and it's a lot more realistic, but, and there's a huge problem, there's far less functions in the John Deere skidder than there are with the Class Zerion tractor, and the reason why is because LEGO Technic are focusing more on form now than function, which isn't a good thing for LEGO Technic. The ratio between cars and commercial vehicles is changing rapidly. With sets such as the Material Handler, they look mediocre because they're designed to be functions first sets. And these sorts of commercial vehicle sets are going down rapidly in the amount that LEGO are releasing, because instead LEGO are releasing more cars. Now, having necessarily more cars isn't an issue if they're good quality, but with the Batman Batmobile, this set is pretty meh. It's a set that LEGO didn't need to release, and they could have released something easily, like another sort of set in the line of a material handler. Yes, having licensed cars at a certain level and a certain low amount can be fun to see, but LEGO Technic definitely needs to get more construction sets and cut it off with the cars to make it better. But licensed cars actually get less functions over time. The Porsche 911 RSR had significantly more functions than today's Ford GT. The Ford GT looks fantastic, I'll be honest with you, but it's not really function filled at all. It lacks functions. Meanwhile, the Porsche 911 RSR had a lot more in functions to offer, and it was cheaper as well. And the Porsche is far better value for money because it's bigger, but they're selling it at a relatively better price than the Ford GT. So there's that as well. But licenses increase prices. And let's look at some recent examples. We have the heavy duty tow truck, where these two sets I'm going to compare have roughly the same amount of pieces. This set costs $160. Now, the John Deere skidder, you would think, okay, they both have the pneumatic functions, they both are maybe the same scale, let's adjust it for inflation. Let's say it's $180, even though the John Deere set has less pieces. Let's say 180, that's reasonable, right? Well, we're forgetting the John Deere license, and because of that it costs $200, making sure that licenses increase prices. And that's just the way it is. And of course, Control Plus has to pop up in here, because we see the Audi RSQ e-tron set. What are the problems with the Control Plus? Well, in a nutshell, it's the fact that it makes Control Plus sets overpriced, because the Control Plus system costs a lot of money to implement, and because it costs a lot of money to implement into LEGO form, it makes it overpriced. But also, it's too reliant on smart technology to be able to disconnect. You may be thinking, why would I actually want to disconnect? Well, LEGO is a physical activity. You want to be able to have a disconnect between the LEGO sets you're playing with and, let's say, other things you can play on, say, your iPhone. But with Control Plus, it merges it, but it's not actually a good thing in this case. Because let's say, for example, that Wi-Fi and the cellular network cut out for whatever reason. And during that time, you're a bit bored and you decide you want to play with your Audi RSQ e-tron. You can't, because it's connected to smart technology. But if you had the power function system, you can use it when phones and tech may be working, but also in the rare event that it doesn't work, you can still play around with it because they're using different systems. But how can LEGO Technic fix this? Because it's not actually difficult to fix. Eliminate Control Plus. Control Plus sets, like I said before, are too reliant on smart technology, such as with the 4x4 off-road set. Now, what they should do is bring back power functions, or at least a power functions-like system. And with, say, the rock crawler here, you get all the functions, you get a remote control set, but you get also the advantages of the fact that it's not actually reliant on smart technology. You can just play around with it anytime, anywhere. And let's say you wanted to play with this set deep in the forest. You can't technically with the off-roader from 2019 because it needs cellular service nearby. Meanwhile, with the rock crawler, as long as you have a somewhat close Bluetooth connection, which are enabled in a sort of inside, it's inside its own system basically. As long as you're close enough to the set, you can play with it anywhere, anytime. They also need to cut back on licensed car sets. In 2023, there were 9 of these sets released, and I'm going to include the Audi RSQ e-tron, even though we have the 8 already. Meanwhile, in 2018, we had 1 to 2. Now, I think maybe 3 is a good number, 3 to 4, but with 2018, there were only 2 licensed sets at all. In 2023, the actual licenses in Technic are far higher, and because of that, it drives up the prices quite a lot as well. So reduce it to 3 to 4, make the rest unlicensed sets, and you get cheaper sets. LEGO can probably still make more profit, and it's a better experience for both parties. Now, what should the yearly lineup be if I'm pointing out these problems? Great question. Firstly, there should be one small/medium car set a year. Now, I do think the car sub-theme is an interesting idea, and it should stay, but I think it just should be very much reduced. And then there should also be one large/UCS set with, say, a Ferrari Daytona type set 1 year, and another year LEGO say makes like a Porsche 911 or Peugeot or a Ford GT sort of set as well. What else? LEGO should make the rest of the sets non-car related, and they should focus more on construction or farming sets, because these sorts of LEGO sets use functionality. But actually, with the recently with probably the releasing now, actually, when you're going to see this, with the released LEGO Technic Space sub-theme, that actually has some opportunity as well. But I don't know how long they're going to keep with that, or if it's going to be one wave. It's going to be just for one wave. But focus on function sets, and what that basically means is farming/construction sets before cars. But should it be even more? There should be 1 to 2 licenses apart from the cars, and have one unlicensed battery powered set and one licensed set to kind of have, let's say, the RC, the remote control set, make it unlicensed, have nothing to do with the brand, to make the big set licensed, and then chuck in another licensed sort of construction vehicle, the 2 licensed cars, and keep it that way for licenses, and it'll make LEGO Technic cheaper, but also potentially more profitable for LEGO as well. And here are extra things LEGO Technic can do. Firstly, sometimes less is more, because sometimes you guys have actually released too many sets, such as with the cars, and not enough construction sets. And also, if you want displayable vehicles, and if you LEGO want to make a lot of displayable vehicles, do it weirdly enough using either icons or speed champions. And speed champions cars can be more displayable than Technic cars because of them using system sets, and the way that system building makes far better looking cars than Technic based building as well. And we see this Corvette, it looks fantastic, and it looks far better than anything LEGO Technic can come up with. And that's only because of the fact that LEGO Technic are limited to Technic pieces. And even with Speed Champions, we see this Pagani, it still looks better than 50% of LEGO Technic display car sets that we've seen as well. But there are signs of hope, because there's one set in 2022 that was released that has a battery and a motor included without Control Plus. This set is none other than the Airbus H175 rescue helicopter. Due to the type of LEGO set that this is, you can't really remote control it, because LEGO sets can't really fly, not yet, as far as I know. But what makes this awesome is the fact that we get to see sort of motorized functions without Control Plus, where you can, what they've basically done is they've made a sort of new power function system just for this set. And if LEGO maybe made 1 to 2 of these sorts of sets a year and cut off Control Plus, they're on the right move, and this is potentially a sign of hope. But that's it. Those are my thoughts on LEGO Technic's downward spiral, and how easy it actually is for them to actually rocket themselves in a place where they'll be better than ever before. But let me know down below what your thoughts are on LEGO Technic. If you enjoyed the video, please smash the like button. If you want to see more content just like this, please subscribe. I hope you guys have a truly uphill day, a successful day, and keep building.